All right. Ready
You're
to
gonna
jump
do the
in?
intro? Are you jumping in?
I'm jumping in.
You're jumping in on this, eh?
Yeah. So welcome
Alright.
back, everybody, to the latest edition of the Restaurant Tech Show, brought to you by the SVK Network. I am Chris.
And
this is
App
Jay,
8. And App 8.
and powered by App 8.
Powered by App 8.
Our favorite mobile ordering provider.
You've never really done a plug for App 8. Why don't you plug App 8 a little?
Absolutely. So, with App 8, we're really about the full digital guest experience. So we've kind of moved past just digital ordering to all of the interactions that your guests or fans will experience when they either come to your restaurant or your venue. So whether it's being able to access menus, pre-order before the games, give feedback, as well as save a lot of time and reduce friction when you're actually at these restaurants and events. You'll be able to essentially order pretty much anywhere you are in any venues that we support. So we call it Order Anywhere, and you'll be able to have that full consistent experience that our clients love, because it keeps their brand on point and it keeps their guests and fans happy and ordering.
Chris, question for you before we bring our guests
Sure.
in. Can App 8 work for retirement residents?
Absolutely. We've been looking into that, where it's a matter of, when it comes to retirement homes, a big piece of this is the food service, and making sure that right now they have programs where parents and kids and things like that can help order for their parents. They can set their menu. They can make sure that they're getting their favorites. They can add notes and things like that through ordering.
Dude, are you serious?
Yeah, and then they're also worried about, are they eating or not? So the ability to actually say they've picked up their order, or they can you can say, yeah, this person picked up their order, and then we can send a notification to their parents that says, hey, they picked up their order, just so they've eaten today, or they at least gone and got their food. So there's a lot of applications with this. I think we're only going to be seeing more and more.
I met a lady today from a retirement residency down in North Carolina, Bishop Gadsden. And they have a podcast at their residency recording these stories from their guests or their
that's pretty
people.
Cool.
Isn't that cool? And then they have a food truck. They have a food truck. Nice. They have a retirement residency has a food truck. Anyways, we'll talk about that later. Who do we have? What are we talking about today on the show before we bring them into the show?
Absolutely. Yeah, we're talking about the future of restaurant tech, specifically as it relates to using things like cryptocurrency, blockchain, and then bolstering your loyalty programs with NFTs and other ways, other blockchain enabled tech. So we actually have Jerry Chang from Bitcoin Bay, who's going to break down what restaurants should be doing today, what they can look forward to the future, and what are some of the advantages and pitfalls to look out for. So should we bring him on?
Well, let's cut to a quick commercial first from our happy sponsors at McCain's. You know what? This is a really good one too. It's 47 seconds too. So I'm going to go then we'll bring him in. All right?
Sounds great. We'll be right back.
There we go. We'll be right back. There you go.
Very cool, man. Those look very delicious.
They look actually pretty good, eh? I was sitting there going, I haven't had lunch yet.
Kind of looks like a little like a low key gnocchi there.
I know, pretty cool.
All right, Jerry, welcome to the show. Thank you for coming on today. Why don't you give a little introduction about yourself and Bitcoin Bay, and then we can jump right in.
Yeah, thanks so much, Chris, for inviting me, and thanks so much, Jay, for hosting this series. My name is Jerry Chan. I'm one of the co-founders of Bitcoin Bay. Quite honestly, we started out as a community meetup group back in 2014 in downtown Toronto. And the whole goal of us was really just try to provide an ecosystem where a lot of the newcomers into the space back then could come gather, figure out a lot of the information, figure out a lot of the people in the space, make connections, and things basically just kind of snowballed from there. In 2017, we had massive, spike of a lot of people coming into the meetups, corresponding to a lot of the price hikes at the time. And that's when we formally decided to, incorporate into a company. The main goal for Bitcoin Bay really is just try to help out as much as possible as the adoption of not just cryptocurrencies itself, but also the blockchain technology and how it could benefit businesses and companies, both large and small.
That's awesome. And it's very cool that you guys have these meetups. And for everybody that's watching, if you're interested in learning more about this, or if you find this content interesting, we'll give you the contact to reach out to Bitcoin Bay. But I think, being able to attend these meetups is so powerful because you can share, best practices, and, whether or not the people you meet are in the food service industry, I'm sure that there's a lot of transferable, tips and tricks that people can learn if they attend. It's very cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And like we definitely do have a lot of people from very diverse backgrounds, both professionally as well as, like just like themselves. Like a lot of people from various different industries. Like we had students come out, we have a lot of retirees, a lot of just basically bring out everyone in Toronto, basically.
That's awesome. Very cool. So maybe just I think a lot of people have seen the news and they've seen crypto in the news and blockchain and NFTs, and I'm sure there's a lot of either so there's some misinformation, or it might be kind of hard to dissect if you're not familiar with the industry. Maybe you can give us kind of a brief overview of what what you think would be relevant for restaurateurs when it comes to what they need to know right now about we can maybe start with the crypto side, and then we can a little introduction to the loyalty and NFTs, which I think we'll be talking a lot more about later in the show.
Yeah, absolutely. In terms of a lot of the retail side, obviously the number one thing that people can be doing is just start accepting these cryptocurrencies, whether it's Bitcoin or Litecoin or other currencies like that, or various sorts of stable coins like USDC or like any of those that represent government fiat currencies. Um, and the reason why I say that is, like it really just helps encourage people to be more accustomed and have more experience and like opportunities to try out and be interacting with all of this tech with the blockchain and cryptocurrencies. Um,
I mean,
and
just on that point too, before we jump to the next topic, you even mentioned like some of these restaurateurs who are either interested in either investing in crypto themselves, or if they're able to provide specific things to encourage these people who are already set up with crypto wallets and cryptocurrency, to say they can provide discounts or exclusives and things like that if you actually want to accept these in your restaurant.
yeah, especially when the prices are down, like heavy discounts are always helpful to encourage spending.
Yeah.
But even when like the prices are high and whatnot, there's always ways to encourage people to actually be interacting with the tech itself. Obviously in different parts around the world, like for example in Central Africa, in Kenya, for example, they have a lot more penetration with digital money as is. And quite honestly, a lot of countries around the world are quite familiar and comfortable with digital monies, especially on their phones nowadays. So for us, it really is just one, getting more exposure and getting more experience with using the tech, but then also coming up with ways to just better interact with your existing customer base through the technology and the tools available.
Very cool. Very cool. So what are some of your favorites, programs that you've seen right now that restaurateurs can look to if they want to see a good example?
So right now, in terms of interesting projects and whatnot in the crypto and blockchain space, there's a lot of heavy push right now for a lot more like stable coin conversions, or at least fiat conversions for a lot of these merchants. The number one concern for everyone is like how to actually cover all the costs and cover all the bills. And unfortunately, we're not at the stage where we can start paying all these expenses through Bitcoin itself.
Mhm.
Uh, so that conversion is really like a major hassle. And like when we started in 2015, 2016, with a lot of like these merchant adoption push, it really is just like have a wallet on your phone, store it yourself, and figure it out that way. But nowadays, like it's a lot more developed out. You have a lot more companies providing these services. And for companies or like businesses that actually want to hold on to a portion of the crypto payments that they receive, they can actually choose that. Let's say 50%, half of it will be cash on to dollars to cover the expenses, and the other half will be saved for a rainy day in crypto.
Cool. So we'll talk about and we have some great content to talk about around like NFTs and loyalty programs. And I don't think the timing could be better as we head into patio season, where it's you're competing against people ordering at home, you're competing against third-party platforms, you're competing against all these different restaurants, spending advertising dollars. So you being able to actually create this, a great loyalty or program to interact with your loyal fans and patrons. I think it's going to be more relevant than ever. So maybe you can give us a little introduction to NFTs and loyalty, and before we dive into some examples.
Yeah, so just to give a very, very brief background on the whole concept of NFTs, it really is just trying to encapsulate unique, identifiers or unique kind of actions or interactions with people. So a very common example of this would be, like obviously an artwork, where
Mhm.
it's a unique piece, and that's basically it. I guess in terms of like more so on the retail side, like obviously we've seen a lot of these loyalty points in terms of buy 10 meals, get one meal for free, or like in McDonald's or Starbucks, right? Buy however many stuff, you get one cup of coffee for free and stuff like that. But in terms of what the tech can do and provide for people, it really just opens up a new dimension of actually interacting with the client and customer base. In terms of, let's say, for example, restaurants, they always have, like slow nights throughout the week, usually Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesdays. Like to encourage, more turnout, more interactions, they definitely can be, tapping into these kinds of systems to, better encourage, let's say, hey, you guys come out this frequently at these nights, we'll give out these discounts, and you have to like do all these process, but we'll be basically treating you to all these like benefits.
That's great, and I think there's so much power that exists with the non fungible tokens because to your point, if you have a loyalty program, you might be able to send an email and you have email lists, and it's those can be hard to manage and collect. But these tokens, it's less about, sometimes the artwork can be great, but it's more about the utility that you can have and the fact that you can create a unique identifier that you can't necessarily share with your friends. So people can get these exclusive offers and deals, whether it's to encourage them to come to slow nights or it's to reward their most loyal patrons and fans with either exclusive menus, exclusive access to help vote on, we talked about like voting on, next month's specials that their favorite restaurant's going to create. And this is a lot easier than, through the traditional means. So and I guess the best part about this is that with this NFT and loyalty program, that you don't actually have to have a crypto wallet. You don't have to necessarily be super familiar with the conversions and everything. It's something that, you can pretty much sign up with an email and then it's all managed by the restaurants program.
Yeah, and that's the actual beautiful thing about this because like all the actual interface hasn't really been built out properly. So there's a lot of designs and like opportunities that individual restaurants can take advantage of. Obviously, right now the most popular the most popular apps that a lot of these restaurants use are platforms like Uber Eats or these delivery platforms. But in the future, like, you can definitely envision a lot more of these companies taking on that kind of interactions themselves, especially for
Mm-hmm.
these sit-in interactions, right? Um, like I frequently go to a downtown bar where they have a massive amount of like beer selections, and it always intrigues me like how they actually like choose which ones they want and which ones they want to like throw out, right? So like definitely getting and actually capturing that kind of feedback from the regular customers and like what kind of things you want to stay on the menu versus what
Mm-hmm.
things you can like swap out. You know, definitely could help out with all the overall sales in the long run.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, to provide some info on what you were just talking about when it comes to, what beer do they provide, what drinks, what alcohol, a lot of these, the companies manufacturing these products, they are willing to they actually spend a lot of money with these restaurants to advertise their specific, they want to have that advertising space. They want to have, those beautiful taps and things like that. So there's actually money that these companies are already investing in their drinks. Well, you could tie this to, you could actually sell these and tie this directly to your NFTs and loyalty programs, whether it's encouraging people to come in and, order a specific beer or a specific wine. They get exclusive rewards. They might even get access to like the newest beer that's coming out from one of their, favorite spots, so they can actually try that try that first. So there's actually, there's already money being invested in this, and that money can be diverted to these types of programs.
Yeah, absolutely. And like in especially in the bar and restaurant industries, like there's no way to, have a monopoly on that entire industry, right? It's as free market as you can kind of get. So for a lot of these, like beer manufacturers and breweries and whatnot, you definitely need to work with a lot more parties involved. And at the end of the day, you're really just tracking the end user experience. So these
Mm-hmm.
kinds of systems, right? I can go to one bar and they're serving the same beer. I can go to a different bar and it's like slightly different. It's like, okay, great. Now, how do we improve on like the overall experience with the brewers who are actually making everything?
Well, yeah, and to that point, how do they encourage you to come to their place versus theirs? If at the end of the day, there's a lot of really great, especially these days, a lot of great craft beers where you might not necessarily, that might not be the draw. So if these two pubs are very similar to two bars, um, these extra programs, these extra incentives, and this the exclusivity, I think, is what's going to draw more people to your restaurant, because I think what we've seen as a trend is that discounts are everywhere. You can get them on everything now and all these different platforms. But what the patrons that want to go out and interact with these different restaurants and brands, they're looking for exclusivity. They're looking for more than just that, that just like, oh, I have a points card or whatever, I'm in their email list. They want to be able to get treated special based on the amount of interactions and they have with that brand.
Yeah, absolutely. And like fundamentally, like with the blockchain technology itself, things are, like based around these transactions. So the more kind of interactions and transactions that's going on, right? It's kind of like more money velocity, more it's like more activities going on anyways.
Mm-hmm. And these pair really well with the classic loyalty programs, as far as like you can get stamps for going to a specific restaurant, or going to like trying new locations, or being going to multiple locations across the city. Um, and these can all be managed through this NFT program, and actually probably managed better, because you'll get that more granular data, and you'll be able to see which tokens are used and redeemed or distributed in certain areas. One of the examples we were looking at before the show was around Starbucks launching their Starbucks Odyssey, NFT program, which Starbucks has classically been one of the best loyalty programs that looks at all their user data and tries to encourage them to either come out more for points or try new things for points. And they're looking to launch a program that has, you can earn points and journey stamps, as they call it, for completing their journeys, which could be going to specific locations, trying specific drinks. You can collect what they have. They have stamps as a form of NFT, which can actually be traded and sold on a market that they can actually create. And these points and these NFTs can get you access to kind of one of a kind benefits, which I think is they're kind of hitting all of the points we're discussing as far as what could be a very strong program using NFTs and blockchain. Have
Yeah,
you? Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, the tokens are really just arbitrary representation of whatever things people want in real life, right? So however
Yeah,
people want to design those interactions, it really is just up to them.
very cool. Jay, I think you said we got another great sponsor that we wanted to roll before we get too far in the show. Did you have that
Yes, it's
ready to
very
go?
going to be very quick though. It's going to be very, very quick.
All
Here we
right.
go.
We'll be
Here
right
we go.
back. Oh, I think I know what I'm going to be buying at the grocery store next time.
Was that good or what?
Oh, that's great. That's great. So I guess we can talk a little bit more about even the services that you can provide as well. So I think we talked about one of the things you can do for any restaurateur that either knows about the space or is completely unfamiliar. They can contact you at Bitcoin Bay to help them either get educated and help them design programs. So maybe you can kind of give a little more detail on that, or what people can what people should, or sort of why they should contact you with the types of programs you have.
Yeah, so for Bitcoin Bay, like we help people from every single step from the basic educational and workshop kind of phase to everything from like the final product, like developing our product and actually rolling it out to the markets. Um, all the time, also like we work with the network of various other crypto companies in the space as well to provide more specialized services. But at the end of the day, like it's just really providing all these options to the overall public so that they can make their own informed choices. For some companies and some owners, again, like sometimes they'll prefer to actually hold on to all the coins themselves, so they wouldn't need to like take on any sort of fiat conversion service that other companies can provide. But it's
Mhm.
not like like there isn't space or like room in this market for those kinds of services, right? Um,
Yeah.
in terms of adoption right now, um, quite honestly, the payments for crypto is still fairly small in the overall grand scheme of things, but a lot of it again just comes down to getting this snowball to actually like grow and grow to the point where it's almost ubiquitous around society.
Yeah, and I think that's we're definitely going into that space, like the underlying technology of blockchain. I think banking and everybody are adopting it, ticketing services. So whether or not we're ready for the cryptocurrency and the payment aspect of it, we know that that piece is even going to become more, as you said, ubiquitous in the industry. And actually, to the example that you just used, if you are a restaurateur that already invests in crypto and you want to be able to accept this as a way to collect it yourselves, you brought up a really great example in the past where when you used to have silver, that was silver dollars, there's a certain amount of silver in that dollar where you could do deals where you're giving them discounts to get that silver dollar because you're looking to invest in the actual valuable metal there versus just trying to get a dollar. So I mean, any restaurateurs that are already on top of this should definitely be reaching out to you guys because they can start to fill up their investment account with crypto, especially with people that are willing to, that are looking to get out or looking to, to use their crypto as currency right now.
Yeah, and quite honestly, it's not just like getting a lot of the revenue coming in, but also helping to pay out these costs, right? Like I'm sure everyone's aware of all these rising costs, but
Mm-hmm.
again, in the silver case, like I think the trade was about one silver dollar for about $20. But again, like that could be used to cover all the ingredients, cover all these wages, all these kind of stuff, right? So
Mm-hmm.
the main thing is getting that kind of circulation going and getting that kind of comfort with the overall society to actually be using this.
Makes a lot of sense. And what I like too about the NFT piece as well is that it's a way for there could be investment there and there could be a lot of value because as the investment or the value is just like any collectible, right? Like it's only worth what people are willing to pay for it. But if you can create a program that has exclusive menus, has exclusive deals, like Starbucks is even talking about giving away trips to like their coffee producers in Costa Rica or one of those places where if that marketplace is becoming valuable, that that stamp that you got from randomly or that token that you got just when you started could end up being more valuable, and it's something that you could trade with other people that are in that program to buy more of the things you love and just interact with the brand more.
Yeah, and quite honestly, the I think we also brought out earlier, but like if McDonald's actually had the Big Mac token, where one token was equal to a Big Mac,
Mm-hmm.
that'll be immediately like popping off the popularity for this, right?
Well,
Um,
the Big Mac
but
index, right, as known, is a pretty common index where what's the price of a Big Mac, and it relates it relates
exactly.
to your GDP and everything. So I can definitely see that there's automatic value there. And we talked about like loyalty programs, right? Well, if you have a loyalty card and you've got 10 punches in it for your free coffee, well, that can technically be worth more if they increase the price of coffee. But what's cool about these NFTs and this loyalty program is the value of those actually could be an investment where people would get more out of the brand than just getting like a I know there's like a cool hockey card or a cool token that could increase in value, but these will increase in value just based on the interactions with people in that marketplace or the patrons.
Well, the other thing with the loyalty points, and this is something that I'm not too sure about because obviously there's a lot of regulations, regulatory uncertainty about this. But one thing you could definitely imagine is like, imagine transferring some of these loyalty points, right? So in your example, like if you need to collect 10, well, unfortunately, I only have like 6, right? So what do I do with it? So maybe I could
Mhm.
just trade it off to someone else, and then they can redeem all the stuff, and maybe we can share, or I just take whatever payments or stuff like that.
Yeah.
But facilitating that right now is near impossible, right? Like you have the sticker, it's like how do you actually remove it, all this kind of stuff.
Yep. And with these tokens and having, you're able to actually, ensure that you're getting exactly what, what you're asking for. And it also will increase the interactions with your guests. I mean, you can even have this interacting through, there's lots of different marketplaces you can use, or even just like, restaurant pages and things like that, where people can actually start interacting and they're going to talk more. And, the more they talk on social, the more they're going to talk in general. You can create great buzz. And I think, as we talked about at the start of the show, this is one of the most important times to start trying to take eyeballs away and try to sort of to gain eyeballs and to gain an audience as we go into the busiest season for all the restaurant industry. So something to look at right now if it's a program you're interested in getting started for the season. But I think it creates so many cool avenues, and it's so easy to expand and change because of the blockchain and NFT technology versus just having like loyalty cards or punch cards or something that is a lot harder to evolve as your experience evolves.
Yeah, and the really nice thing is it kind of adds on another dimension to not necessarily like the pricing, but more so like the feedback to your customers. In that, like you can definitely imagine, for a meal, it'll be costing the same. But let's just say, like on one of these slower nights, on Tuesday versus a Friday evening, the Tuesday evening, the restaurateurs can definitely increase some of these token payouts or like rewards to the,
Mm-hmm.
the customers who come out those nights, and they'll be giving out whatever it could be, like discounts, or it could just be more interactions, like more say into again what are some of the new upcoming menu items and stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that.
And actually, and to your point again, you can also value the people that are giving that feedback. So not all feedback is created equal, especially in your brand. Is someone just popping in because it was the most convenient, or is this somebody that does show up on the Tuesdays and the Wednesdays and shows up on the weekends? And when you're giving that feedback or they're redeeming these tokens, you kind of can you can actually weight their feedback a lot better.
Exactly.
Um, Cool. So I think it's pretty much all the time we have for you guys today. But for next steps, if you're really interested in this, you can go to Bitcoin. To bitcoinbay.ca to check it
Yep.
out. I'm sure you guys are all over social as well. And if you're really interested, you guys are having meetups all the time, and people can actually get introduced that way. But yeah, Jerry, thank you so much for joining us today. That's a great
Yeah,
talk.
thank you, Joe.
I'm very excited for the future of loyalties and NFTs and kind of gamifying going out again, getting people off their video consoles and getting out into the real world to do some gaming in IRL, as they say,
IRL
in
We'll
real
all be
life.
Pokemon
in
Go
real
in the
life is
future with the restaurants.
Yeah. Oh, man, I mean, why not, right? That's
Yeah.
awesome.
But yeah,
All
thanks
right.
awesome.
again so much, Chris and Jay, for having me on here today. Really
No
appreciate it.
worries. No
That
worries.
was
So,
great.
Chris, we're gonna cut, and thanks again for everything. This is incredible. I'm sitting here just like to the whole thing. So, I was quiet
Well,
that time.
and if you haven't done it already, please like and subscribe to our shows, share them with your friends. And if you have any interesting guests that you would like to see or any kind of topics that you would like to see on the show, please include it in the comments and we'll look to see what we
Well,
can do.
we'll have Jerry's link of all his information and stuff like that, plus App Eight's information as well.
Rock on. I
Right?
love it.
Yeah, like that. Hey,
Absolutely. Hey,
there
why
you go.
not?
Hey, awesome. Well, I'm gonna turn the music up and cut it. But thanks again, Chris, for everything you do.
Thanks, everyone. See you
Take
later.
care.